Hey, what up? It's Carter from the Peekaboo Boxing Academy, and in today's video, what I want to talk to you about are the levels to Peekaboo Boxing. All right, so my name's Carter Weber. For those of you who don't know me, I train fighters at Cus D'amato's gym here in Catskill, New York, and I was personally mentored by fighters who were trained by the late, great Cus D'amato himself and the great Teddy Atlas, and who grew up with Mike Tyson himself. All right, so what I want to talk to you about are the levels to the Cus style, as we call it at the gym, the Peekaboo style, right? And, you know, for a lot of people, they don't actually understand that these levels exist, and as a result, they keep banging their head up against the wall, thinking that, oh my God, I just can't get it, or oh my God, I feel like there's just something missing. Well, guess what? There is something missing, and that's why I made this video, because I want to catch you up to speed with the things that I know, training fighters at Cus's gym, that you're not going to know if you're just watching videos of Mike Tyson online. All right? So believe it or not, I was once in your shoes. Before I moved here, before I got mentored, I actually would be, you know, probably somewhat like you watching this video. I would watch videos online. I would read up little PDFs. And I would just try to figure out, you know, how does Mike do this? How does he use this boxing style that's so effective? And why on, you know, God's green earth have people not been able to replicate this since? That was an elusive question for me back then. Now I know exactly why. And it's because there's levels to it. And you have to learn it in the right sequence, in the right environment, with the right mentors. And these are things that you're just not going to get if you're not getting the right advice. All right, so all of that and more in today's video. And if you don't get this stuff, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be just like the next person who's trying to mimic Mike Tyson, just like the next person that tries to go into sparring using the peekaboo style, just getting, you know, just getting just humiliated night after night because you just can't get it. All because you didn't learn the proper advice, the things that Mike Tyson was taught that you were not taught. All right, so all that and more in today's video. As always, let's crack into it.
Professional fighter is going to learn how to hit and not get hit, at the same time be excited. That's what professional boxing is. You got to be clever, you got to be smart, and not get hit. And when you're able to do this, you're a fighter.
All right, so what are the levels to Peekaboo Boxing, and what do I mean by that? All right, so first what I want to do is I want to start here, which is where 99% of you are at. And that's at the level that we described earlier. Let's call this level 0. And that's basically you're a Mike Tyson fanboy, a Mike Tyson fangirl. You go home, you know, you order the black boxing shorts, you order the black shoes, you order the gloves, the vintage gloves, and you know, you basically you order the Mike Tyson sweatsuit and everything like that. You shave your hair like Mike. That's where 99% of people are at. And, you know, believe it or not, and this is in my opinion, they're not actually real boxers. They're just people that are basically cosplaying as another boxer, as another man. All right? And listen, I don't want to dish any dirt to these people because guess what? I was one of those people many, many years back when I was a young kid, and I was trying to learn the style just like you. All right, I was thinking, you know, maybe it's just, I just got to get that energy, you know, I gotta get the gear, I gotta, you know, play the part, I gotta watch all the videos, all the rare clips online. I have this to this day. There are people that obsess, oh my God, you know, can you send me this little clip that I found? Or listen, watching one little clip of Mike Tyson, it's not going to make or break you as a boxer. It doesn't matter. You just have to get the right advice, which you have not been getting because it's not out there. All right, so what many people don't know about the Peekaboo Boxing style, or the Cus style as we call it at the gym, is that the reason that it disappeared, the reason that you haven't seen anybody do it since Mike Tyson, it's not because it's the Mike Tyson style and only Mike Tyson can do it. No, not at all. It's because it hasn't been properly taught since then. All right, a lot of the people that grew up with Mike, who actually knew Cus's style, who were there with him, who actually lived it, they tried to teach fighters the way that they fought instead of the way that they were taught. All right, so that means that they had their own way of trying to teach Cus's style, right? Kevin Rooney's one of them. He skipped over a lot of the things that were actually important in developing a Cus style fighter, right? But, you know, as a result, a lot of people, a lot of those fighters, they didn't have the tools they needed to go far with it. So what is the proper way? The proper way, and this is what one of my mentors told me, he said, listen, Carter, the gym was never the same after Teddy left. And what he's referring to is Teddy, who he's referring to is Teddy Atlas, right? For those of you who don't know, Teddy Atlas, he had an incident with Mike Tyson. Basically, we all know the story, but basically Teddy had to leave the gym, all right? And it actually broke the hearts of a lot of these kids that were training in the gym because Teddy was like a father figure and a mentor to these kids. And Teddy was really Cus's protege, not Kevin Rooney. It was actually Teddy. Kevin Rooney was more the placeholder, and he kind of maintained what was already made. But my intention coming to this gym was to kind of parse that out. Why are there some, for some reason, why has no one been able to replicate this success that happened before? It's because a lot of these people that try to teach the Cus style, even some of the people that were here, they try to teach it their way, which is fine if you want to learn that way. That's totally fine. There's tons of different boxing styles. There's tons of different ways to learn, and I encourage you to have an open mind and to learn from everybody. But if you want to learn the Cus style, you can't learn it somebody else's way. They shouldn't be training you the way that they fought. They should be training you the way that they were taught. So my objective coming to Catskill was to actually, learn the way that it was originally taught, basically how to reverse engineer myself as, so that I could be a coach just like Teddy Atlas was back in the day, to the best of my ability, and then to share that knowledge with you so that we can bring the style back to the limelight. All right. So most people, they're not actually learning the real Cus style. They're just mimicking Mike Tyson, or they're basically in a Mike Tyson Halloween costume in your local boxing gym, and we all know how that goes. All right. So let's hope that after today's video, this is no longer you. All right. We're going to graduate from that. All right. We don't want to be stuck there anymore. So forget about that. Now, level 1. All right. And a precursor to this, by the way, a lot of people don't realize that the way that Cus D'amato trained fighters is not the way that you see a lot of fighters trained today. And this is extremely important if you want to learn the Cus style. A lot of fighters today, the way that they're trained is they're basically thrown to the wolves. You basically spar until you drop, and then we figure out who's really, built for it or not built for it. For me, I don't think you're a real coach if you do that. I think you're basically playing with the confidence of young men and women when you try to do that, and I don't think you should be near boxing at all. But a lot of people like to do it that way, and that's the world that we live in, right? I can't control the way that other people do things. That's the way that most coaches look for raw talent. How did Teddy Atlas, how did Cus D'amato, who were running the Catskill Boxing Club back in the day, how did they develop talent? It was a little bit different. First of all, you had an excellent environment to learn from. So what do I mean by that? Imagine a scenario in which you walk into the gym as somebody that's never boxed a day in your life. And when you walk in, Cus D'amato, he comes over, he shakes your hand, he asks you what you want, and then he asks you to sit on the stage, right? And now what you're doing is you're sitting on the stage and you're just taking in the energy. There's probably 15, 20 other kids in the gym practicing the Cus style, all together, like-minded individuals, all respectful. They've all built their character up. And then Cus D'amato, what does he do? He makes you sit there and watch for the first 2 weeks, right? He just sits there and picks your brain, right? He asks you why you want to be a fighter. What are your goals in boxing, right? He starts to explain to you the difference between the hero and the coward. He starts to explain fear to you, right? How it can be the biggest obstacle to learning if you don't use it as your friend. That's how all the fighters over at the Catskill Boxing Club way back in the 80s learned the Cus style. That's the environment they were introduced to. And listen, if you weren't about it, then, you just wouldn't have showed up to the gym. But the kids that stayed and the kids that came in and watched every day, those were the ones that Cus took interest in. Those were the ones that Teddy took interest in. So that's your introduction. Instead of going into the gym, you don't really know anybody, nobody talks to you. You feel like it's just one man army. You're just all alone. You're in a very competitive, almost scared and anxious headspace. Imagine that's your first introduction to boxing. Forget about it. That's a lot of people's first introduction to boxing. So make sure you go to a good gym, or make sure you learn from the right people so that you can build your confidence up. All right? So the environment is key. And then from there, you weren't thrown into sparring. No, not at all. You get taught everything. You get taught level 1 by Teddy and by Cus. And you get shown everything. Things that most boxers, it takes them years to get all these things in their repertoire. You get it day 1, week 1. You get all these defensive maneuvers. You learn how to throw the punches properly. And you know what? You're not allowed to spar. You just have to watch. You just have to come in every single day. And you know what? For some people, it might be 2 months before they spar. For others, it might be 5 months. For others, it might be 8 months. Teddy Atlas and Cus D'amato, they were great at picking the moments in which it was time to apply pressure. A lot of coaches, what they do is they don't know how to properly apply pressure in a way where it will test your ability based on the level you're at, and basically in a way where you can build your confidence. A lot of coaches, they apply too much pressure too early. And they basically have this, whoever's the last man standing, that's the person I'm going to train type of mindset. And yes, while you will find tough fighters that way, you're also missing out on just a warehouse full of potential, because you're throwing people out who might have been fantastic boxers, but you didn't build their confidence, right? And one example that crosses my mind, there's in Teddy Atlas's autobiography, great book, you should read it. There's a kid who trained at the gym that I train fighters at now, who, my mentors grew up with and sparred. His name was Maine Moore.
That's it, bad intentions. Okay, don't drop it. Don't drop it even a half an inch. And let it come the same height as your shoulder. So make sure your elbow straight across. All right? Yeah, Maine was a kid that when he came here, he was a kid without any confidence in himself. I'll give you an idea. He was what you would call, what people would call yellow or something, because they used to take his lunch money to school. I try to build him up here, give him confidence, and tell him that what he's scared of is the feeling. He knows how scared he feels. I said, I feel the same way. I said, and the same thing happened to me when I was a kid. But after a while, I said, hey, look, I'm either gonna freaking starve to death or I'm gonna whack this guy out, because I can't keep going this way. Straighten that wrist out so you don't hurt your hand. I said, now throw with bad intentions. I can tell when you're throwing it with bad intentions when you're not. Throw it like you're hitting somebody you want to hurt. That's better. Throw it like you don't like somebody. That's it. Throw it harder. Come on. That's better. See the difference? Well, it's in you all the time. It's just got to come out. You got to throw with bad intentions. When you're in the ring, you're not playing ping pong with the guy. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Good. That's how you got to slip.
And he had a problem where he would cry uncontrollably and he would lose control during sparring. He would run out of the ring. He'd run across to the hallway near the courtroom in the gym. It's above a police station. And Teddy Atlas would have to go out and he'd have to get him to calm down. And what Teddy did over time is he built Maine's confidence. And Maine ended up becoming an excellent fighter in the Cus style. But what would have happened with somebody like that, a kid like Maine, if you put him in front of a different coach who had a different strategy? Or their strategy is just throw him to the wolves and we'll see if he gets spat back out the other end. Destroyed his confidence, destroyed the potential to build another young man's confidence. It's terrible. It's horrible, right? But that's the way a lot of coaches like to do it. So you need a good environment. And then with that, of course, goes the good mentors. You need people that know what they're doing, who understand the psychology, the 80-20 of boxing, which is that boxing is 80% psychological, things that we've covered here on the channel. You need all of that, because without all of that, you're screwed, all right? So the mentors and the environment go hand in hand. If you don't have the mentors, that's why this channel exists, right? It's the next best thing. I'm going to teach you how to build your confidence, throughout the duration of this channel. Right now, we're only getting started. There's not many videos yet. As I build out the channel, as I get better equipment, we'll go back, we'll re-record everything, we'll cover everything in extreme depth, down to the most minute details. All of that is coming to the channel, all right? So that's the precursor. Now, level 1 of the Cus style. What does that entail? What does that include? That's going to include stuff like your basic defensive maneuvers. That's going to include stuff like your stance. So let me give you an example. And this is really to kind of just give you a general outline. This isn't to say, okay, now you're going to do this, now you're going to do this. We'll cover that in other videos. Right here is just the outline, right? It's to give you a realistic expectation. So level 1, you're going to learn things like your stance. You're going to learn balance exercises like the twist. You're going to learn how to evade punches using a combination of knee bends, weaving, and slipping. You're going to learn the proper technique on how to slip, right? You're going to learn at the gym, we don't just slip a little bit, we slip far, because when you slip far, not only will you completely mitigate that fact that, hey, you might get clipped by that punch, you'll even miss 2 punches. You might even miss a left and a right, right? You're going to learn how to slip properly. You're going to learn how to weave in a way where you trick the other guy into thinking, oh, he's right there, and then you weave again, and then you come back with a hard, fast combination. You're going to learn all that stuff day 1. And then you're going to practice it slowly. You're going to learn your footwork, right? You're going to learn what we call the moves at the gym, which are repetitions that the fighters did every single day. You're going to learn how to get to the side. Where in a moment's notice, you get to the side, you throw a punch, and then you spring back so that he doesn't tie you up. All the while, you have somebody over your shoulder meticulously telling you, hey, you're doing this good, we need to work on this. Oh, your punch is too wide. Tighten up your punch. Oh, make your feet a little bit, make your feet like shoulder width apart. You know, things like that. That's level 1. Level 1, it's learning the slip back. What are the basic slipping maneuvers? How do you get comfortable with, an object coming at you and, being able to miss it consistently? How do you get comfortable, for example, throwing the punches with proper form? That's the willy bag. How do you condition yourself to move every single time after you punch? Discipline, but also the willy bag. How do you move after every punch that you throw? The willy bag, you learn that. How do you move after this punch? How do you not move after this punch? Why do you do it this way? Why don't you do it that way? These are all things that you learn. The heavy bag, it's a footwork device, right? You're moving in and out. You're strafing side to side. You're letting you're letting your hands go on the bag now. You're putting it all together. Level 1 can take months and months and months and months, right? It could even take you a year before you master level 1. Now imagine there's a lot of people online, they try to learn the entire Cus style within, 5-6 months. You're not going to master a style in such a short period of time. The journey to mastery is years and years and years. You don't realize a lot of the things that you see Mike doing online, those took him years and years and years and years to get that good at doing those things. You haven't had that practice, and you don't even understand what he's doing if you haven't been taught, right? So, very important, level 1. Without the base, without the foundation, the entire structure that we're going to build on top of it just completely crumbles. So you have to get that down as well, all right? So that's level 1. You learn how to, use the equipment. You learn these repetitions called the moves that we do every single day, moves that I'm going to show you here on the channel in time. And you learn how to do your form. You learn how to, you build your confidence. And then, you start sparring. But you're not going to go into open sparring right away. No, you're just going to do jabbing and slipping. Jabs to the body, jabs to the head, slipping, using your footwork. We're going to get you really calm and relaxed in there. We're going to get you to where you're completely comfortable in there for the most part, as much as you can be when you're first learning. That's level 1. That's building your confidence. That's basically, this style, it's predicated on perfection. Everything that Cus D'amato wanted was perfection. This is where you build that perfect base to the best of your ability. You purge out any of the holes that are in the foundation, right? We apply pressure ever so slightly, and then we see where the pipes burst, and then we see what we got to work on. That's level 1, all right? So that could take you, it really depends on the person, but that could take you months. It could even take you a year, all right? That's level 1. And it depends on how fast you're learning too. Are you in the gym 6 days a week, like a lot of the fighters who were learning the Cus style were, surrounded by like-minded people that they could watch and look up to and who would correct them while they were making mistakes? Or are you going into the gym a couple times a week with people that have no clue what they're doing? You're not going to be able to learn that way, right? So these are all little nuances that a lot of people, they forget to account for, and then they wonder why they're not able to fight like Mike. So that's important. Then, what do you learn after that? You learn level 2. That's where you start to put things together. right? You're doing these moves every day, but now when you're sparring, you start to see where these certain moves fit. And you naturally and automatically start to do them because we've ingrained them into your nervous system by doing the moves every single day. So now you get too close and all of a sudden, oh, I've been here before. Boom, get to the side, throw your punch, right? Now, instead of, maybe slipping the punches like you were in the beginning, maybe now you have a little bit more intuition and experience. Oh, now instead I'm just going to move back with my footwork. I'm just going to move to the side with my footwork. I'm just going to slightly change the distance to where the other guy doesn't even notice, and boom, he's missing me and I'm not even having to move. These are things that you pick up with experience, things that when you're at level 1, you're not going to get because you're consuming too much mental bandwidth because you're not calm and relaxed enough and you're trying to, figure out what to do. So you're not in a flow yet. That's level 1. We're just trying to get you into a flow. Level 2, we're going to start doing more advanced moves. We're going to start doing, things like slipping coming forward, closing the distance, slipping and getting to the side, weaving and getting to the side, right? We're going to start doing, twisting off of weaves. Lots of different things to add on when you get to that next level. And then, based on your experience level, and again, these aren't static, these are more guidelines that you fluctuate between. Based on your experience level, that's the type of coaching you get, right? If I start 3 people at the same time in the Cus style, as I've done, they're not all going to move at the same pace. Some guys are going to be working on, closing the distance, moving forward, jabbing and slipping, using his footwork. The other guy, I might just make it more basic. I'm going to do more basic stuff with that guy. Depends on where you're at. One guy, I might have him, follow me around the ring and make me miss, get to the side, I turn, then he gets to the other side of me. I have him start putting all these different moves together. The other guy, he's not there yet. So I'm going to do more basic stuff with him. Depends on where you're at. That's why that's so important. All right, so that's level 2. Level 3, right? And level 2, you can spend, 6 months to a year and a half here, right? And again, it depends on who you are and how fast you learn. But really, this is where you start to put things together. This is where things start to make sense. You're no longer executing a set of moves like you're typing keys on a computer. Now it's more or less, you're starting to get into a bit of a flow, right? But you don't have the poise to be able to do the more advanced stuff yet. That's where level 3 comes in. That's a couple of years into practicing the Cus style. And remember, the people at the gym, the kids at the gym back in the day, they're in the gym 6 days a week in a room full of decorated amateurs who are also using the Cus style. Imagine how fast you get good. You have 2 of the greatest boxing trainers to ever live, the greatest teachers of boxing to ever live, Cus D'amato and Teddy Atlas, training you every single day. Imagine how good, how fast you would get good, right? So level 3, now what you're going to do is, you're at a level in the Cus style where, you have excellent footwork, you have excellent intuition, and now, and really I guess this goes in between level 2 and level 3, but now you're starting to learn the principle of less is more, right? So in the beginning, when you're just starting out, you're constantly conditioning yourself to move, you're constantly conditioning yourself to throw the punches in a certain way, to do the form in a certain way. Again, you're more executing a program, you're more, laying the puzzle pieces out. At this stage, you're starting to put the pieces together, and at this stage, you're totally, now you're a boxer. Now you're creatively in a flow. Now you're really stepping, coming into your own as a fighter, and you're putting things together, right? So now you're going to start to learn this whole concept of less is more, and really the best way to describe this is, I was just, working with my fighters and one of my mentors the other day, and he was explaining to me, Carter, it's the difference between, when you're starting out, these guys are moving constantly, they're moving, but then you get to a point where now you're just, instead of, going right into slipping, now you're just ready to move. Now you're ready to move, right? Maybe now, instead of slipping, so dogmatically, now you only slip just enough to where you can land that punch perfectly instead of needing to slip all the way outside. Now you're starting to, basically you're becoming so calm that now you can see things in slow motion, all right? And that's really when you start to progress up here. Now you don't have to do as much, right? That being said, in the beginning, you have to do all that difficult stuff. You have to move the proper way. You have to condition yourself, get the right mentors, do the right drills, because that's the only way you get it in your nervous system in the first place. A lot of fighters who train the Peekaboo style, the Cus style, they just they kind of just go through the motions. No, you can't do that with this style. This is the hardest boxing style to master, but it's the most effective style once you master it. To do that, you got to work like a dog. All right, so you got to get this stuff down. Stuff that we're all gonna, we're gonna cover in extreme, detail down to the most crystal. Basically, we're gonna get crystal clear on this as I build the channel out. All right, so you're in level 3 now, and now less is more. And now we're doing things like situational drills. Now we're really working on things that specifically tailor to you because now you've got all this other stuff down and you're starting to actually implement it. Now we're doing things that pertain to you and your specific situation. Now we're doing the advanced moves all together. You're slipping, coming across the ring, getting to the side, moving your head. Now you're just on a completely different level, right? You're doing situational drills, less is more, and now you're really able to, be 10 steps ahead. All right, now you're really able to go to a different level that, fighters that don't have the level of calmness that you do and the level of ring IQ that you do. And how do you get ring IQ? Through time. Through time, you see, okay, when this guy does this move, I do this move, right? And that's just the beginning part of it. But eventually you get so good, you get so calm, you have so much experience that you're 10 steps ahead, right? And one of my mentors, he was explaining this to me. He said, Cus would watch me. And, one day he pulled me to the side and he said, you're 10 steps ahead of the other guy. And then he said, why do you do that? And then, my mentor, he said, well, I'm trying to see the way that he's going to attack and then I'm trying to adjust. And then Cus said, I wish more guys were like you, right? That comes with experience. That comes when you start to hit a level of mastery. All right. And that being said, when it comes to all of these levels, you might not look like Mike, and that's fine. Because guess what? Mike was not the best practitioner of the Peekaboo style, of the Cus style at the gym. The best was actually Greg. His name was Greg Young, right? He's the brother of another one of my mentors. And Cus D'amato, he called him the master because he was the master of the style. He could get to the side, he could make you miss, use your footwork. And, with one of my other mentors and Greg, when they would spar together, Cus used to say it was beautiful because they couldn't land a glove on each other. That's mastery, right? And that's more boxing. The way that they trained Mike, the way that they had Mike fight, they had him fight to his strengths. They had him come forward. That's the way that Mike fought. He could box when he needed to, but that wasn't it. A lot of the other fighters in the gym, they were boxer punchers, right? They would box, they would stick, they would move, but they could also punch. They could also come forward, create angles, use pressure to their advantage, break their opponent's will. They learned all those things, but not all of them fought like Mike. A lot of them, Mike, he didn't really get to the side a lot in his fights. He didn't use, that much boxing footwork in his fights. He couldn't fight backwards. He never knew how to fight backwards. Probably would have served him well when he fought Buster Douglas, because, when he was in trouble, he would have been able to walk backwards and know where he was, despite the fact that he wasn't in good shape. Maybe it would have saved him in that circumstance, right? So while you're learning all this stuff, you're going to be coming into your own as a fighter. You're going to be practicing the Cus style, but you're going to be learning all the tricks of the trade. You're going to be picking up on things, picking up on different things on your own, and you're going to be integrating them in. That being said, there is a certain blueprint to Cus's style that we're going to cover here on the channel, that I'm going to cover with you on the channel. But that being said, you're going to pick things up on your own. You're going to fight to your strengths. And that's really what fighting is all about. It's about coming into your own, building your character, and it's about doubling down, tripling down on your strengths. Not trying to become a poor man's version of somebody else. We can all relate to that. We've all had that. It's about coming into your own, about getting the right mentors, building your confidence, right? So that's what it looks like to learn Cus's style. That's the broad strokes of it. Of course, we'll go into more detail as I build the channel out. But what I wanted to do today was give you an introduction because there's so many people that are stuck right there. And I don't want that to be you. All right? So thank you so much for being here tonight. As always, a lot of very important concepts in this video the people that don't get it are screwed. So be happy that you do get it now. All right? Thank you so much for being here. I will see you in the next video.